This is lesson 10, and it is November 6th of 2014. And some of the things that I have been working on, I haven't had a chance to get recorded because I've been in the middle of a lot of things and not had a chance to get around to doing this. But some of the things that I worked on a little bit were looking at the meter that I had for this song and sort of counting it out, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and that's kind of what I was coming up with that. I also remembered how for most of the time I just made up songs, and somehow it worked. They came to me naturally. Usually had a natural rhythm or meter that went with it, that I didn't have to. I could pretty much write out my verses and the bridge and everything and the chorus, and it all just fit. And I didn't really have to work at it. It just kind of all came together at once. But when I was, I don't know, probably 8 years old, maybe, or so, I actually started working on writing out music. So I didn't know music theory, but I knew that there were ups and downs, to the music. I may have had like 1 or 2 piano lessons, something like that, but really didn't know any music theory. And so I had some paper. I did have paper at that time. And there were a lot of times that I didn't even have paper, which is why I am actually used to writing on these like half sheets of paper. And it just feels more comfortable to me because they're smaller and narrower. And I am accustomed to writing on the backs of envelopes because I would have to scour around for envelopes because we had no paper. And it wasn't that we were poor, it was that our paper was disappearing somewhere all the time. So, when we did have paper, there was a time that it seemed like paper was around in full sheets and didn't just run away on its own. And at that time, I did draw some bars out, and I started working on the music theory to it because I wanted to put a format to how my music was going with my lyrics and how I sang it. So I started doing that, and I was actually making some progress at it. And then the strangest thing happened, this is sort of an anecdotal, I think, lesson. But the strangest thing happened. Someone bought. My paper disappeared again. I had no paper for writing out my music. And instead, I was given, I guess, for a birthday, or maybe it was just coinciding with when the paper supply disappeared. I was given a book, like a music theory book with already pre-printed lines on it, where basically you just add your staff notes and your music notes, and then and you just add that, and you have write out your music. And the weirdest thing about it was that it didn't work for me at all. It was like this big roadblock in my creativity, and for whatever reason, I was accustomed to drawing out these lines myself and arranging music myself. And I'm not sure why it was the printed lines that deterred me. I think it was that I wasn't choosing the spacing and sizing of those lines. And maybe it was just taking away part of my creative process. But I didn't have really a place too much to write some of the lyrics along with it either, because I was writing out my, because this was just music theory paper. and it had like all lines all the way through in sections. I don't know, it just seemed really unnatural to me for whatever reason. I was used to writing out my music and then my lyrics underneath it. And so all of a sudden my creative progress in actually writing music came to a halt. And I think that was possibly psychological, because the other things that had been done in the past to me is, I would be given a bunch of paper to draw on, and I was an okay drawer, as a kid. But I really enjoyed it, and I would work on my drawing, and then all of a sudden one day someone took away all my drawing paper and gave me coloring books and said, here, color these pre-printed forms. And, thanks for the coloring crayons and the coloring book. But it totally took away from my creativity in designing my own designs and coloring those things the way that I wanted to color them or not color them. And, it really wasn't my parents, because they were much more creative themselves. And it was the fact that I was living in a government hovel, pretty much, with government individuals going into my house all the time and deciding what they thought I needed or didn't need. And a lot of effort was made actually to detract from my creativity. So why that is, I'm not sure, because they were actually making a lot of money off of me. But whoever, really, I don't know, but whoever was in charge of that just started taking away kind of just everything. If I wanted to draw, they'd take away all my paper and they'd give me coloring books. If I wanted to make designs, like learn how to sew and make patterns, I was doing that for a very short time. And all of a sudden someone said, no, you can't do that anymore. And they gave me these paper plates, like fashion plates, where you etch, etch on them. And it creates a pre-printed design from the plates. And then you color those, which is kind of fun. It was kind of creative in a way, but it wasn't the same thing, It was sort of a way to make quick paper doll designs, and it wasn't like making my own original designs. And for whatever reason, that transferred over into my writing music, because I, for some reason, was comfortable with writing out my own music lines and notes and everything with it, not getting a pre-printed book. So anyway, that, I think what I would say about that is just do whatever works for you. If you work well with pre-printed lines on paper and books, then get that. And if you think that it is more creative and goes with your flow to have paper, try doing some paper. So another thing that I worked on was kind of looking at the first and the second verse and how they line up really with the melody. And another idea that I had that came to me was I could see this song going two different ways. And one way is the same sort of tempo that I demonstrated before, like approximately 3.5 minutes, something like that. Sort of at a slower pace, maybe injecting more emotion into it, more inflection, and definitely getting into that feel for it, which I haven't done because I've just been sort of doing this rote demonstration, as I'm working on it. But the other idea is a club. I can see a club, actually maybe fast club, electronica background with this. And part of that reason is because the way the chorus words are all sort of squished together a little bit, it will work for a faster speed. And the other reason is that if I'm thinking of people like youth and runaways or not runaways, people who are talking about a safe place to go to, you could sing it in a sad, emotional kind of a way, or comforting way. And then you could also sing the same song in sort of a club electronica beat or tempo. And don't really see people running out of the club. But so anyway, I guess what I will do, it's already 11 minutes, and I talked about writing music on paper and recording that process. But I guess I could sing out how some of these two verses go real quick, and then fast and the slower version. So my voice is not practiced right now at all, but all you seem to tell me is you're thinking about a little place where you can be safe. And transitioning into the second verse. Thinking, I've been thinking you think too much, and that means I think too much. Why can't we crush that hesitation? And then for both of those, then going to thinking, how will that bring relief to your present situation? Run, run. I wouldn't spend much time thinking. Pennies fall from the sky, strangers in the fields keeping them run, run. Okay, and so on. And if it's done faster, it could be sort of like sort of like all you seem to tell me is you're thinking about a little place where you can be safer. Thinking, how will that bring relief to your present situation? Run, da, 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 run, da, 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 da. I wouldn't spend too much time thinking. Pennies fall from the sky, strangers in the fields keeping them run, run. And find out the direction as you go. I believe you will find a home. So when I sing that, I'm just suddenly getting a little bit of a backdrop on a faster pace, and then of course adding in some like electronica, and probably picking up the words even faster than that, and making it. You could slow it down and then bring it up again too, because sometimes that's how club songs are. But so anyway, those are some ideas and things that I have thought about. And I guess the last thing I will do probably is try to do a finished version of maybe both of those styles or ways of putting this together. So this is the end of lesson 10.